In this tutorial, we're going to cover how to use lower thirds and icons in Synergy. You'll need a program that supports RGB+A video and text tools. We recommend Premiere, Final Cut, or After Effects. If you're on Windows, make sure QuickTime Player is installed. Let's start with Premiere. Inside your download within the lower thirds folder, you'll find a PDF guide. This guide goes over the font and the point size used for each lower third. Now you can use any font that you want, but if you want your text to look like what's seen in the trailer, use this guide. Alright, so we're in Premiere and I have a clip right here. Let's drag it into the timeline. And I'm going to import a lower thirds. Let's do this one right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag it into the timeline over our clip. Now, these lower thirds are optimized for 4K, so if you're using 1080p footage, you're going to want to scale it down to about 50%. That looks about right, and you can change the position as well. Next, we're going to add a title, which will go here and add a title, hit OK. And if your playhead is over the lower third in the background, it's going to show up here as reference, and that's good for formatting. So I'm just going to type something out here. And we're going to go to our guide, and we're going to find the lower third that we're using, which is this one right here. And you can see that the top title is Railway Semi-Bold 57 point. So we'll go back to our title, highlight it, and we'll change it to Railway Semi-Bold, and then change the point size to 57. And you can reposition the text, and we'll create a second line and type something out and go back to the guide, and the second line is regular weight 36 point. So we'll highlight this, change this to regular, and we'll go 36 point. Okay, reposition that. So the text is good, and we can drag it from the project panel into the timeline and adjust the timing to match the lower third. And the last thing we want to do is add a crossfade to the beginning and the end of the text. And so we can just click on the edge of this layer, right click, and hit Apply Default Transitions, and we'll do this to the other side as well. And the last part is just to adjust the timing. And this is not an exact science. You can just adjust it to whatever looks good. We can kind of move it in a little bit. That looks about right. Maybe a little bit further. Let's just kind of play around with the timing for when the text comes in and leaves. That looks good. Perfect. So that's how you add text to the lower third. Now, if you want to make this a little bit quicker, this lower third is 15 seconds long. What you can do is just splice out the center. So we can just splice these two layers here, and then just delete the middle, and then just take the end and bring it over, just to create a quicker lower third. Alternatively, if you need something longer, which usually isn't the case, but just in case, you can splice it, move this over, and just copy this middle part and make a longer version. So that's how you create lower thirds in Premiere. In Final Cut, it's a very similar process. I have my base clip in the timeline here, and I've imported my lower third. Now, before you do anything else, you're going to want to highlight your lower third and go to Spatial Conform in the Inspector panel. Just make sure it's selected as a none. That way there's no automatic scaling. We want control over that. So we'll add this to the timeline over our clip, and under Scale, we'll go to 50% since we're working with 1080p. And you can change the positioning here to whatever you like. And next we're going to add text, and the best text to use is the basic title. I'm just going to drag this over our lower third, and you can adjust the timing. And if we highlight the text, we can simply click in the canvas and move it over. And I'm going to add one more title layer just for the subtitle within the lower third, and do the same as before. Within the inspector panel, you can change the content of the title, the font, and the point size according to the guide. I'm going to do that right now. Alright, so the text has been added and formatted, and last what we need to do is add a crossfade to both of the text layers. So we'll just go over to the transition panel and add a crossfade to both layers. And we can adjust the timing by clicking this little icon at the top, just like so. So we can kind of bring it in just a bit, maybe a bit more on the end and in the beginning. Just like so. Perfect. And that is how you add text to your lower thirds within Final Cut Pro. Let's head over to After Effects. So I have my footage imported in the project panel, and I'm going to create a new composition with our base layer, and I'm going to drag my lower third on top of the base layer. We're going to hit S for scale on the keyboard and type in 50%. And then just reposition this. Now I'm going to create a new text layer, and we'll type something out and highlight the text, and under the character window we'll change it to railway, and we'll go semi-bold, 57 points. Perfect. Okay. And I'm just going to zoom in here and reposition the text. And I'm going to duplicate this layer to create our second line. We'll type something else out here. And highlight the text. We're going to change it to regular and 36. Reposition. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and split these layers so that it kind of matches the timing of the lower third. And what we can do to add the crossfade is just highlight a layer, hit T on your keyboard to bring up the opacity, and we're going to add a keyframe for 100%, and then we're going to go towards the beginning and then change this to 0. So this is just going to add a crossfade, a simple crossfade, and we'll do the same for the end but just reversed. So we'll go 100% towards the middle, go towards the end, and go to 0%. So it just comes in and then it goes out. And we can actually highlight these, copy them, and then just paste them to the other layer. So both come in and both go out. Pretty much the same process as Premiere and Final Cut. That's how you use the lower thirds in After Effects. You can change the accent color of the lower thirds using a hue angle effect. Within After Effects, what you want to do is highlight the lower third layer, go to Effects and Presets, and type in Hue, and add a hue and saturation effect. Within the Master Hue section, you can change the angle and change it to basically whatever color you want. Within Premiere, you're going to highlight the lower third layer, go to the Effects panel, and you're going to add a fast color corrector, and you can change the hue angle here. And within Final Cut, you can add a hue and saturation effect to the lower third and change the hue angle. And that is how you customize the accent color. The icons are clip-based just like the lower thirds, and they're about 450 by 450 resolution, and they work great for using with titles and on top of footage, and you'll just drag them on top just like you would the lower thirds. For 1080p, we recommend like 40 to 50% in scale, and just like timing with the lower thirds, you can splice out the middle just to shorten it. Each one is about 15 seconds in length. So that is a quick explanation on how to use the lower thirds and icons in Synergy. I hope you like the pack and find it useful. Good luck with your projects and enjoy!